This episode is brought to you by Zolar. We thank you for making our show a possibility. Thank you, Zolar. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Love is love if you don't have to make a family by taking a traditional ride. If these ovaries could talk, it would say.
I'm excited.
Hey,
Hey, Jay.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. I can barely contain myself.
Why are you excited, E?
Well, I'll tell you what you already know, but I'll tell you guys. America. Boom, 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 America. We're having a live event.
Oh my God.
Boom. Yes, we are.
Yes.
So mark your calendars for June 23rd, NYC Prides, the conference at New York Law School in Tribeca.
You guys, we are doing a live event for Pride. This just came to us. It's very last minute.
Boom.
We are super excited, but you
Super.
got to get your tickets ASAP now
ASAP.
because it's happening this week.
Absolutely. Oh my God. It's an annual symposium of transformative change makers in the queer community.
That's us.
It's a full day of powerful conversations, networking opportunities, interactive workshops, and a lot more. There's probably going to be merch and giveaways and
all
stuff.
kinds of stuff.
And
all kinds of stuff.
Our
And
listeners
queer people everywhere.
get a special discount. What's the fan code, Jay?
We made sure y'all could get a discount. Here's your code. It's OCT15. 15% off all conference tickets. So you get 15% off. So if you're in the New York City area, you're coming here for Pride, you need to join us for our live
Yes.
event taping.
Where should they go to get this information?
Okay, so you guys are going to go to the events page on the nycpride.org website, or you're going to click the link that we are posting all over social media, or the link in the show notes of this here episode. And then you're going to select your ticket type. You're going to click register, and then you're going to enter your coupon code OCT15 on the next page. It's super exciting. I can't wait. I'm also slightly nervous that nobody will show up. So show up, y'all.
Oh, God. People are going to totally show up. You want to see us live? You actually want to see us, right? And have a conversation or ask questions and be a part of this live moment.
Come talk to us.
Be a part of this.
Before we talk about our guests, I want to tell you something, E.
Tell me.
I, for the first
Oh, my
time,
gosh.
went to an actual barber. I needed to get my sides done. I needed to get my sides cleaned up. And I've never gone to a barber for that. It was really scary. Actually, I did go to the barber once when I was 8 because I wanted to get my hair cut at the same place my brother got it. And the barber said, the only way I will cut your hair is if you agree to cut it like a boy. And I ruminated on it for like 6 months. And finally I said, okay, let's do it. And I cut my hair like a boy so that I could get my hair cut at the barber. But that's a whole other story.
Okay, first of all, I have to interject here and say it is super cute. Now, you can't see Jay's hair right now, but it is dope as fuck. The fade to it. Look, wait, no,
So that's
turn
what-
your head back to the side. Can you make sure you put this picture right here? Snap. Wait, I'm going to snap it. Go back. I'm going to take this picture. We're going to take this picture
But
and you're
so
going to
that's
see.
the thing. I don't know what to tell the barber because they talk in different words than I'm used to.
You say
so I was
fade.
like, well, that's what I said. I said, I don't know. I want to, like do this, buzz the sides. And like, can you do like a fade kind of thing? Is that the right term? And he was like,
Yes.
yeah, he's a man of very few words. Anyway,
Yeah,
that
it's super
happened.
cute.
I went to the barber and I feel super lesbian and it's cool. I was sitting in that chair like he knows I'm a fucking lesbian.
Wow. Isn't that interesting how our hair means
Mhm.
like lesbian for us? I
Yeah.
also am very conscious of not having non-queer hair. Like I want my hair to represent my queerness and I work hard to make sure that it does. I don't want to look non-queer. Is that weird?
You don't want to look basic. I don't want to look
Yo,
basic.
I don't want to be a basic bitch. Isn't that what they
Nope.
say?
I don't want to be a basic bitch. No basic bitches
No.
around here.
I'm so
We're
sad.
just living that queer life. So, okay, let's do this. All right,
This
Liam.
guest, Liam.
Mm.
Liam is a parent of 4, and as is usually the case with our families, they've
Mhm.
got a pretty amazing story of how their family came to be.
Sure do. Liam has also been a licensed midwife for years, and they made it their goal to help and support members of our community realize their family dreams,
Yes.
which makes us love them even more.
They even wrote a book that has way more science and expertise in it than some books.
Than my book.
I didn't want to say that. It's called, Liam's book is called Queer Conceptions, the Complete Fertility Guide for Queer and Trans Parents to Be. The book is tremendous. Liam is great.
Yeah. Let's just bring Liam in because
Let's bring
Liam
him
can explain things way better than we ever can. And Liam doesn't ramble like we do either.
All right.
Helen is like, shut it and let's go. Your hair is basic and I don't care. I don't know. I just made her really New York. Okay. Roll the tape, Helen. Roll the tape, please. Thank you. Hi, Liam.
Hi, Liam.
Hi there.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
It's so good to be here. Great to be here with you both.
It is wonderful to have you. We got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited. So before we get into anything, why don't we just jump right into that elevator pitch? Let's let our listeners know who you are, Liam, and why you're here.
I'm going to count you in. I don't even know any more languages, so I can't do it anymore. So 1, 2, 3, action.
All right. I am Kristen Liam Colley. I'm going by Liam these days. A lot of people know me as Kristen Colley. I am a licensed midwife and fertility specialist, and my practice is built around queer and trans family building and covers the entire childbearing process from thinking about having a baby, conceiving, through pregnancy, and into early parenthood.
Love it. Boom.
Wow, you did it.
You
I think
did
I
it.
did.
You
That's
know what you
amazing.
do for a
Yes.
living very well.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
I also had this vibe just in meeting you. I'm like, I want Aaron and I to use Liam or to work with Liam in this baby process.
Oh.
I just instantly trust you. Your face, there's something so, you've heard this before. I'm
I
not
have.
saying anything new.
Yep.
Yeah, it translates through the computer.
Well, interestingly enough, when I listen to your podcast, it's hard for me to listen to it because almost every family that comes on there, I'm like, oh, but they just need to know. They need to know this or that, or I could help them so much. But it's something you recorded a long, long time ago, and a lot of people have already been through their process. But you hear these stories of the struggles that people go through, and just the ways that our round families are trying to fit in the square hole of what is available mainstream around fertility and conception. And there's so much that's left out.
Yeah. This
So I just,
heteronormative square
yes,
mold.
yeah.
Could you give an example of, I don't mean from our podcast, but can you give an example of something that you think, oh, if only they had known, you know what I mean?
Yep. Sure. Here's an example. So, queer couple, they want to make a baby. They go into their local fertility clinic and they have to pay for a bunch of lab tests that are not appropriate for somebody who has no infertility history, no concerns. And they're offered ultrasounds and trigger shots and medications that we're just now starting to get some actual literature that's designed around donor insemination populations that say that you do not increase your chances by starting with medication. And that the way that timing of insemination is done in an infertility clinic is either they tell you to pee on your OPK once a day and come in the day after you're positive for your insemination, or they're doing ultrasounds and a trigger shot. And both of those approaches can fail you. The ultrasound and trigger shot has the risk of having you inseminate too late, because if your body was just about to release that egg when you got your ultrasound, it's not going to wait because you got the shot.
Right.
Some people end up missing the whole cycle because the day of their ultrasound, they go in and it's already happened. So that's going to cost you time, going to cost you money. And even if they're just doing the OPK method and they tell you, come in the day after you're positive, the egg only lives for 12 to 16 hours. And when sperm have been frozen and they're placed inside the uterus, they only reliably live for maybe 24 hours, but their actual, period of time when they're actually functional and could fertilize an egg is more like that 12 to 16 hour window that is the lifespan of the egg. So you're trying to hit a 12-hour window by testing your urine only every 24 hours and assuming that everybody ovulates 24 to 36 hours after they're positive, and it's not true. So this person who's gone into the clinic in an environment and an approach that's not even oriented towards their clinical situation, let alone their social situation of, being a queer family. And then there's all these like straight white people on the walls.
All over.
Yeah.
And the one token queer couple.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But also white. And so the way that I work with people to identify their ovulation pinpoints ovulation within about 12 hours by things that you can observe on your own at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a number of clients who were timing their inseminations way earlier than they ever would have been timed in a fertility clinic. And these folks are getting pregnant on first or second cycle. And
Right.
it's because we're
Wow.
following the timing that their own body has. And I am positive that if these folks had gone in the next day to inseminate, they wouldn't have gotten pregnant. They would have thrown their money down the drain, however many cycles it took them to end up doing IVF. And by then you're spending tens of thousands of dollars.
The first doctor my ex and I went to, we were doing the basal body temperature, and, we didn't have kits. We just had the thermometer and a little piece of paper, a little pad that we made up, and we were writing everything down. And his estimations just did not make sense with our tracking. And we kind of blew it off because we said, you know what? We're not doctors. Obviously, he knows something
Right.
that I don't. But actuality, he didn't know. So we transferred doctors because we were like, this feels wrong.
Yeah.
We can't be this far away.
Yeah.
And we're testing everything, the cervical fluid we read everything.
Mhm.
So
I want to say, Liam, you're touching upon a theme that comes up with our families over and over and over again, is the frustration that we go through when we go to these clinics and we're automatically treated like an infertile straight couple, which we are not. And so many couples have said that to us in this show. And also, I went through almost 3 years of infertility.
Mhm.
And I think I needed you. I think you're right. I think that it was not timed right. They weren't listening to my body,
Mhm.
which is like really freaking frustrating. But I didn't know any better.
right.
I didn't know.
And it's thousands of dollars
Oh my God.
down the drain.
I spent over $50,000
Yeah.
to make more probably
Mhm.
through the 3 years. So
Mhm.
everybody needs, anyway, the
Everybody
lesson in the
needs
story,
Liam.
everybody needs a Liam.
Yeah, for real. Like, I'm like, can Liam come back every once in
Oh
a
my
while
God,
and
Liam,
we just ask questions?
You become our in-house
We can
midwife.
take callers.
We could take
I'd love
callers.
that. I could
Oh
do
my
it.
God, that would
Yeah.
be so cool.
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Trevor Campbell, and you made me queer. Oh, I never get tired of saying that. I'm so excited because my podcast, You Made Me Queer, is back for its second season. Every episode, I invite a hilarious LGBTQIA plus guest to point the finger of blame at who and or what made them queer. And I've had some very vindictive guests, like the Great Canadian Baking Show's Colin Asuncion,
She's like, FYI, I'm the only one here who knows how to read.
CBC's Because News host Gavin Crawford,
Proudly wandering around, be like, yeah, it's our gang, the Thoroughly Modern Millies.
the Bedpost podcast's Aaron Pym,
Early Disney, they were drawing women with dump truck asses.
RuPaul's Drag Race's Jinx Monsoon,
I remember being a little child and thinking, I would do that.
CBC's Chosen Family co-host Trenna Winter,
Being an old soul means you're a deeply traumatized person.
and welcome to the Dollhouse and the Princess Diaries, Heather Matarazzo.
I mean, if he had a dick, he could suck it.
New episodes are released every other Thursday on the Sonar Network. So put on your best powdered wig or whatever jury members wear nowadays and stop on by our House of Justice, where the AC is usually broken and the category is always Red Hot Queer Retribution. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, remember, we're here, we're queer, and it's your fault.
Before we go more into all your amazing information and facts that you have that I think we all need to learn and hear, I want to talk about your family because you also have 4 children. And I would
do.
love to hear the story of how your family was formed.
Okay. Well, let's see. When I graduated from college, 1994, I was pregnant, didn't know it,
Mm.
didn't plan it. Oops.
Oh, oops.
Was not out yet. And I went through that pregnancy, and I would say within about 4 months of being a new parent, when you go through childbirth, at least for me, it was so deeply affirming about what my body could do.
Mhm.
I feel like it was really the personal growth that I experienced through that process was just massive.
Mhm.
And of course, when you become a parent, that intersects with every aspect of identity you walk through the world with. So it didn't take me long in that process to realize, I'm actually queer.
Uh-huh.
And I was with my daughter's dad. So, we'd made this baby. We're staying together. We're doing this. And then by the time my kiddo was 2, I was like, okay, I got to come out. Like this is not working.
Can't push it down
So
anymore.
yeah, I had what at the time felt like a very late coming out. And, you live and you learn and you realize people come out at all different times in their life. So my experience as a parent of a young child was, simultaneous with my coming out process. And
Hmm.
so her dad and I split, and I decided to move out to Seattle and go to midwifery school when she was 5. And by the time I was in my last year of midwifery school, I met my ex-partner, and she had 3 kids. Her kids had a little gap in age, and mine fit right in there. We were like the queer Brady Bunch where, it all fit together. And her kids had been conceived, each child conceived differently. She had originally conceived our oldest with 2 gay men. And then she had been partnered with somebody else, and she and her ex had each carried a child. So the
Wow.
oldest has kind of, one genetic donor, but had 2 donor dads.
2 donor dads and your ex, and they co-parented together.
And then,
Wow.
yeah, but then, and then ultimately then her partner as well. And
Wow.
then my child that I gave birth to, ended up with my ex, 3 new siblings, plus me, plus her dad's partner.
Oh my
And
God.
then the next kiddo, he has me and my ex and her ex. And then the youngest was conceived with a known donor. And within my first year, we U-hauled it. So like within the first year of our relationship, when I was living there and had moved my entire family in, we came home one day and this guy's sleeping on our couch. And we had an open door policy, but
Yeah.
her known donor who she had chosen because he was a world traveler and just peripheral involvement, he showed up at our house and he ended up living with us for like 2 or 3 years and remodeled our
The
kitchen.
youngest. The
The
youngest
youngest
known
donor. And that person is in my book, who I thank for putting me in a boat off the coast of Alaska to start writing the book. It's him. So we have this, like, every kid has a different situation and they live all over the country now. The 30-year-old is in Portland, the 27-year-old is in Seattle, the 23-year-old is in DC, and the 21-year-old splits his time between Maui and Wyoming. So,
wow.
Yeah, I had to get a cat so that somebody would need me to feed them.
Yeah, like how you got empty nest syndrome now.
Yeah.
Talk about new traditional family.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at you breaking
How
the
does
mold.
everybody get along? Or do
Oh
you
my
get together for big
gosh.
family
We're
holidays?
Yeah,
really-
what does Thanksgiving look like?
Oh, it looks different year to year because the kids have so many parents. And
Right.
so I do not envy, it was hard enough for me with like just my mom and dad had split, right? And what do I do around holidays? And my kids have so many parents. It's like getting everybody together is really difficult to do. And they are all so, like, 4 individual human beings could not be more different. They're so different from one another. And each and every one of them so committed to each other as siblings.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
That is magical.
Yeah. Yeah. And when Brad, our donor friend, lived with us, the condition was like, yeah, we love you, let's see how this works. But the, main kind of ground rule was don't treat any of the kids any differently than you treat the one who biologically is connected to you. And he was completely down with that and just loved all of the kids equally and interacted with them. And, I mean, yeah, my youngest was totally his doppelganger, going around like, oh, there's a mini Brad. But like that was very clear, but nobody calls him dad. He's Brad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Even your youngest is
Yes.
he's Brad.
Yeah.
That is
I
beautiful.
have so many questions. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to. I have one question. When you came out, this is my first of many, many. When you came out, were you using the pronouns they, them? Or is that something that your beautiful large family had to walk through with you?
I was not using they, them. I've always identified as a mother. And, at that time, we didn't even have the word non-binary. It was genderqueer. So, yeah, I was definitely
We're in the same time.
Yeah.
I'm 47 over here. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the kind of label if somebody asked. I mean, my kids either know me as Mom or Kristen, right? There was a little bit of Mama in there with the youngest. He was 3 when we got together, but mostly Kristen. I think I started using they, them a handful of years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. And I started testosterone about 9 months ago. Perimenopause, had me in its grip, and everything I could read about perimenopause was so feminized. I just couldn't see myself reflected in it at all. Big plug for Heather Corinna's book, What Fresh Hell Is This?
I gotta put that on my list.
Yeah, Heather is non-binary and includes, I think it's like a 2-page spread on trans and non-binary menopause.
Awesome.
Yeah, like the only inclusive book out there about menopause, and she's fantastic. Heather is fantastic. They are fantastic.
I misgender myself because it's been 47 years plus, that I've had to pick one because there was only 2 choices and they just decided, hey, we're picking this one. So I am still adjusting, and I've always felt like a mom and a wife. So I'm learning where it matters to me. Like, I don't like to be she'd, but sometimes I she myself, and we're working on it. And I have patience because I've stopped. I don't know. And I would love to know, did you feel a sense of, like you made jokes? I made a lot of jokes. Like my kid, we would make jokes and I said, I'm they, them, they, them, it, we laugh and stuff. And I was like, I got to stop making jokes. This is literally not funny. And it's important to me. How was that process? Or how was that process?
My kids are very much queer enculturated. And one of my kids is trans. And they've been surrounded by the type of work that I do and the type of work their other parent does, which is all around trans and queer stuff. And they were also older, right? My age range now is 21 to 30. So, the kids were all old enough, the kids are all right. Like they're the ones having like 60 gender markers on Facebook. And, my kids correct me. Just the other day, I don't remember what I was talking about. My daughter was like, Mom, that was some binary thinking. What are you doing? Okay.
Right.
It's a process. And I think a takeaway for me here is it's not just a process for those of us who have to get used to someone else's pronouns changing and things like that. It's a process for the person going through it as well, because you have lived your entire life a certain way and you have to get used to that new self too, and it's constantly evolving as well, like we all are.
And going through a sort of puberty, because you said you just started T 9 months ago. Are you okay? Tell me all about it.
This is like a kid in a candy shop.
I feel like yes, it is, because I want to start. I'm terrified, but it's because of the beard situation. Quick recap: I really want a full beard so bad, and I'm afraid that my family's genes will make me have little spriggets.
Oh no.
And I'll be I'm just so scared.
Oh, I hear you on that one.
How are you feeling on the T?
I feel great. And what I want to say is, you don't just transition. It's like you come to awareness about parts of yourself that you had to put away or put
Mm.
aside in
You're
order
gonna
to
make me
function in the
cry.
world. And so it's not like you just, I mean, maybe some people do turn on a dime, but my experience is you're sorting it out
Mm-hmm.
midway, yet you're in relationship to people. And we have these things called words and pronouns. And so you're trying to navigate your own self-knowing and manifestation while at the same time communicating that to people that you love or even
Mhm.
just that you meet. And so, it's really tricky. There's no right way to do it, but just remembering that it is a process and it takes as long as it takes, and it starts where it starts and it ends where it ends.
I
And
think that's the part that's hard for me. The age thing, because you said you're about to be 50 and you started T 9 months ago. So that
Mhm.
puts you and I really close to a journey, right?
Mhm.
And because where are other of us that I don't know, but you're here. So I feel like you're here for me. Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm really happy this all
Absolutely.
happened. How do you reconcile some things at this age? Because the age thing,
Uh-huh.
tell me about it.
Well, my body was transitioning whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
And I have walked through the world perceived female. Mostly when I was a little kid, I could pass and I loved it. And I cried the day that I realized I was getting boobs because I knew I wasn't going to be able to pass anymore and get,
Mhm.
get people to see me for who I am. So I just thought, well, I've walked, if I should live to be 100, then I've lived half my life being perceived primarily as female. So why the hell not? This is just a bag of skin and bones that I've only got for a few more years and then I'm dead. So
Mhm.
the kind of bodily integrity piece of it. And like, as somebody who I went through a pregnancy, I was deeply transformed by the experience of giving birth. I found my power as a human being. And obviously found my calling in the process as well. But I have a deep reverence for the body and for what bodies who can conceive and harbor and grow and give birth to new life. Like, we're special. We've got something pretty cool going on in these bodies that we were gifted, and that's beyond gender. But still, you walk around in the body you were given, and guess what? We have science and we have medicine, and we can utilize medicine to make our lives better. And I will tell you, in answer to one of the questions you asked a minute ago, about what that was like for me starting testosterone, it was like this entire set of self-policing I was doing in order to fit in with what was expected of me as a perceived female person. I could feel, even just in the very, very beginning of it, like those guardrails are gonna fall to the wayside, and I'm not gonna have to function that way anymore. And even now, I am planning to have chest surgery, but I haven't yet. And this chest gives me away because it's sizable. But just like if I'm wearing like big clothes and I've got a lower voice and I reach out to shake somebody's hand and introduce myself as Liam, I'm perceived as male. And it is such a breath of fresh air. I mean, there was also a piece of like, oh God, now I'm like perceived as being part of rape culture. Right?
Right.
Because
That's a reckoning.
right.
Huh? Right.
Like,
Yes.
oh, you can't just take the parts of masculinity that feel affirming. Like there's a
Right,
whole, 49% of the population that have a different set of expectations in the world, and a lot of it's really shitty.
Right.
Oh, I should watch my potty mouth. I don't
No,
know
you
what our
can't. You don't
guidelines
have
are.
to.
Okay.
You don't have to
You
watch
got all the words.
Okay.
any potty mouth. You can say
So,
anything you want.
it's a mixed bag, and like there are probably like conversations I could have with somebody on the street, perceived female, that I won't be able to have anymore.
Right. Things change.
About motherhood or parenthood or sex or whatever. Like,
Right.
I mean, y'all can tell I'll dive deep and just talk to anybody about anything.
Today's episode is sponsored by Zoller. And so, I have to ask you, how are you and Aaron doing with that baby making?
Oh, listen, let me tell you. Of course, you're going to ask me that.
Mhm.
We're still in the infancy stages. Get it? Infancy stages. But, she's ready. I'm old,
You are old. It's true, E. But that doesn't mean you can't make a cute little LGBTQ baby. That's the beauty of having two uterus.
Well, mine is not on the auction block anymore, but hers,
No.
absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you should use Zolar to do it. Zolar offers a most complete and comprehensive prenatal vitamin, which includes 300 milligrams of DHA, the active formula of folate, which is important, bioactive B vitamins, chromium, also important, lutein, and a whole lot more. That is all important stuff. I know because I took a whole bunch of them when I was trying to get pregnant.
It
in
is
different
important
pills.
stuff. And we have very cute boxes and everything that Zola delivered to us that Erin has started popping the pills in those little cute, it's really well packaged. She has started taking their prenatal vitamins with DHA in it. So she seems happy and they don't seem difficult to take. So there's that.
Well, this is very exciting. We are going to make yet another baby
Oh
on
my
it. These
gosh.
Ovaries Could Talk.
Oh my gosh. I can't breathe. I love that you're just asserting yourself into our business. And I'm happy about it because I feel like you're a younger parent and you can hop in and do certain things that my knees just won't let me do anymore.
Right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to help you with that, but I am invested now, and we are going to make this happen. This is good.
I'm glad someone is invested and ready.
Okay, so guys, with Zolar Prenatal, you can rest assured that you're providing you and your baby with the best you deserve.
Yep. And they have an offer that is exclusively for If These Ovaries Could Talk fans. Listen, I'm sure some of you are out there in the baby making process, right? So all you have to do is use code PREDHA25. That's PREDHA25 on Zolar Prenatal DHA at Amazon.com at your checkout, and you will save 25% off your purchase. Come on, y'all. 25% off, that's huge.
Yeah, it's true. And we're making so many babies.
So many
You're just going to
babies.
use code PREDHA25 on Zolar Prenatal DHA at Amazon.com. Checkout for 25% off your purchase. It's ZAHLER is how you spell Zolar, by the
Zolar.
way.
Boom. You said midwifery, correct?
Midwifery is the correct pronunciation. Mm-hmm.
It's so gendered. And I was going to ask,
Yeah.
is that an issue for you at times?
You know, I thought about that. I thought long and hard about it a few years ago when I had a transition in my practice. And the meaning of the word is with women, right? And obviously the folks I'm with are not all women.
Right.
But midwifery as a, not even just a profession, but as a role among human communities and groupings. We are social animals and we reproduce, we procreate. And
Right.
midwives have existed throughout time around the world. And, you know, you go to an international midwifery conference and there are just like most other countries, midwives care for pregnant folks. And that's just how it is. It's different here in the US. So I really believe in upholding what midwifery represents worldwide, across cultures, but especially in the United States, midwives are marginalized. And, you know, even when you think about getting pregnant, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the doctor. Well, guess what? You know, you wouldn't go to a surgeon if you just needed a PAP or had a UTI. Then that's like pretty much the same thing that you're doing. Like there are care providers who are so much better suited to uncomplicated clinical pictures and take the time and hold the space to hold the other aspects, the relational aspects, the personal growth aspects, the emotional aspects that are not part of that clinical care, which also kind of goes back to your question too, Jamie, about like, okay, so what's missing in that fertility clinic model, you know? And it's that you're only receiving this clinical care, but you don't just have a pregnancy, you have a baby.
Right.
And you don't just give birth, you become a parent. And so that's massive.
Yes.
So I have continued using the word midwife because I honor the profession while at the same time recognize that I am deeply marginalized within my profession. I just am holding space. I'm literally the placeholder for what I want midwifery to become and how I'm hoping that queer and trans folks access midwives in their family building process, because I think midwives have a ton to offer. And that's the other thing that I do as a big part of my work is I train midwives to do what I do.
That's one of the things that the African American community wasn't able to transition into the hospital system. And so it was part of our heritage to use midwifery until like the early part of the 70s.
Yeah.
And then you see the mortality rates
Yep.
on African American parents.
Yep.
Whoo!
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
And now it's like getting the community back into it because we left it. So this is awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Just so you know, I feel so strongly that we need more Black midwives that I do a 50% discount for BIPOC midwives to go through my course. Cause I just want to get it out there. Yeah.
My wife wants
amazing.
to go into nursing. I found our midwife. She just walked in. I have our midwife right here, just so you know. She doesn't do camera. Sorry.
I want to say I didn't know getting a midwife was an option when
it probably wasn't. There's not very many people who do what I do.
Well, I have a friend who gave birth the same time I did, but we went the same route we did when my wife got pregnant with our oldest, which was 4 years prior. And so we went the same route with me. We did the same exact thing.
Right.
But my friend who got pregnant at the same time as me used a midwife service. Like it was.
Oh, for the pregnancy, you mean?
For the pregnancy and the birth but yes, and I didn't know it was an option for getting pregnant either. So
right, that's what I meant. That very few midwives do conception, donor insemination, and those who do tend to just like, yeah, I'll do IUI for you, but they don't know what you actually need to know to really midwife somebody through the process. And that verb midwifing them through means caring for the clinical aspects and the non-clinical aspects. It's a holistic model of care.
Holistic. It should be holistic.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be Earth Mama while I was pregnant and Earth Mama when I had a newborn, and no, none of the above. None of the above. I needed help.
Doula, midwife. What's the difference?
A doula is a non-clinical care provider. To become a doula, you take a weekend workshop.
Right.
And you can take more weekend workshops too to, embellish your practice. To become a midwife, it is a graduate level education. I was in school. I did part-time because I was a single parent. And I think I got through in 4.5 years.
That's not bad.
As a midwife, I'm equipped to care for people throughout pregnancy, deliver their babies outside the hospital. So I'm kind of the equivalent, of an OBGYN, where a doula is the equivalent of a massage therapist.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Big difference.
Huge difference. Yeah. You both have an experience that I have to tell you I covet. I did not get to push life out of myself or get it cut out or any kind of way do. And I always have a moment of, well, you know?
Yep.
And it's okay. It's just a moment of, I'm the minority. Wait, that sounds crazy because now I just figured that out, right? Okay. Yeah. So it's nice to be in the room and hear this, because I used to pretend that I was the one who gave birth to my son. When people would say, "Oh, how long were you in labor?" and if he wasn't around,
would you lie?
I was like, "Oh gosh, it was only 10 hours. I really didn't use drugs. No epidural, pushed that baby out." I took my ex-wife's pregnancy story. Yeah. And I made amends. I fixed it. I told the truth eventually. But I felt bad.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a bio story.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is everything in the broader culture is so organized around cis hetero couples that there's no place for a non-gestational parent.
Exactly.
And so, you go into the medical appointments and they're talking to your partner the whole time. Nobody even looks at you, let alone asking how you feel about anything. And there's kind of no place for you in the doctor's office or in the culture. Like, there's no blank for you on the birth certificate form. In some states it'll say parent, but you'll still get your birth certificate back and it'll say mother and father.
That happened to me.
That's a huge part.
Yeah, they don't know that in many cases like ours, there's a loss. One person might be very well dealing with the loss. I'm a non-bio and a bio mom. I definitely experienced that loss. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
And you're right, Liam. There's no space for that in this heteronormative world. There's no acknowledgement. It's not even on their radars. Why would they think anything of that?
Right.
You know?
You're not providing gametes, so chopped liver.
Yeah. Okay. I really think we could talk all night long about every single theme that comes up for our families. But here's the thing, and I think here's a promise. If Liam has time, we're bringing Liam back. We're going to figure out ways. If Liam has time, I really do want to bring you back, Liam, and have you as kind of one of our experts, because
I'd be so down. Yeah.
We know that we are not experts. Okay, so Liam, let's talk about this book.
Okay.
Yes.
Why'd you write this book?
Well, as we have experienced in this conversation, there's a lot that people don't know, don't understand, a lot of needs that are unmet. And gosh, I just feel like I should apologize for taking so long to do it. Because I want people to be held. I want people to have the information they need. I want people to not waste their money in models of care that don't serve them. And I want people to feel supported and affirmed and, all along the process, to have the non-gestational parent spoken to and acknowledged as a vital member of the family. And these are all things that, although we may struggle with it individually, collectively, they're things that we all know. And once we get in a room together, we just like, oh yeah, okay, there's shared experience here.
Yes.
And so we can have this conversation. So my goal in writing this book was, ultimately to make the world a better place and to raise the platform for what we expect for ourselves and what we expect from our care providers around conception and family building.
This is exactly why this podcast was started. This is exactly why we wrote the book we wrote, because there was a void of these kinds of conversations anywhere.
And I got to say, as the person on the other side of it, they saved lives, because I was almost not here because there was no information 12 years ago with how I was feeling when my then wife was pregnant or gave birth. There was no information. And it was horrifying to feel like I was so broken and the only one with this journey. It just wasn't talked about. So this podcast, your book, the work you're doing in the world, I believe the work all three of us is doing in the world, is literally saving someone's life. We don't know who, we may never. But
and no information and no affirmation. I want to add that, right?
Yeah.
This is okay. We're gonna let you talk, Liam. Just take.
I know,
take
right?
the floor, Liam. This is so important, and I can't believe that we can count on one hand, maybe two hands, the amount of resources that are out there for us. Still, right? So take the floor, Liam.
What do you want me to talk about?
I want you to be a call. Can we do a call in? One day we should do a call in, because I'm sure people have questions for Liam as well. Maybe writing your questions, folks. And when we have Liam back, we can answer some of the.
I'd love
Liam
to do
can
that.
answer the
Write
questions.
in your questions
great
while you're
idea.
listening to this episode and send them right over to ovariestalk@gmail.com.
All right.
And we will bring Liam back. But okay, Liam, talk about your book.
I just love to hear you use my name over and over. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're so
It's
welcome.
new, and every time it's like, gender euphoria.
But you look like Liam to me.
You do look like Liam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my trans joy with y'all.
I love that. Yay. Thank you. I'm going to cry. So, okay, what's the name of the book?
The name of the book is Queer Conception, the
Love
Complete Fertility Guide for Queer and Trans Parents to Be.
I love it. And that's a really great side book to If These Ovaries Could Talk, the things we learned about making an LGBTQ family.
Yep.
It looks so exciting. Can you hold it up?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's beautiful. It looks serious, but also like important, and enough of the maternal. I know I'm making a lot, but it looks like a book I would pick up. And that's exciting to me.
Good. And you can see I was mid-transition when I had to approve the cover.
Right.
And I didn't know my given middle name starts with L. So I was like, well, I'll just put that in there. It'll still be my legal name. And maybe I'll just pick a name that starts with L.
Because it's your dead name on the book.
I don't.
Would you say it's your
I
dead
wouldn't
name,
say
or-
it's a dead name. So many people know me as Kristen Colley. I
Mhm.
mean, professionally, and I don't. It's Kristen is not a dead name to me yet. Maybe it will be, but
Mhm.
I'm fine with all of it.
Okay, great.
I love this so much. You're saying all the words because Erica's not a dead name. Like, I don't
Yeah.
get mad about it.
Yeah.
It's just, like, I feel like there was little Erica,
Uh-huh.
and little Erica is great and got me to Big E, right? Like,
Yeah,
now I
right?
get to be E.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
So, the book is very much infused with my voice and kind of the things that you all have been kind of recognizing in how I speak, what I speak to. There's just so much at the core of the experience of what it is to become a parent.
Mhm.
And so that voice is infused throughout the book. And the other thing I should say is this book is inclusive of families who are using a surrogate.
Mhm.
So, like gay dads, or for whatever reason, parents
Mhm.
don't have the reproductive capacity. So, this is not just all about donor insemination for folks who are carrying. This is any kind of queer family, you know, solo parents, poly parents. Chapter 1 is making decisions and creating a timeline. Even just that stage of the process, some families spend years there
Mhm.
of,
Oh, we
are
know.
we going to do this? All the
Mhm.
different, you get decision making fatigue before you
Yes.
ever even put sperm in your body.
Mhm.
So, in that decision making chapter, I really speak to so much of what many of us are grappling with no guidance other than what we
Mm.
can stumble upon online. And, obviously hearing other people's experiences, like on your podcast,
Mhm.
that's informative and important. And sometimes you just need it all laid out in front of you.
Yes, truly. And we also talk a lot about LGBTQ drafting, where you just take the person in your life who's done it before you, you do
Yes.
exactly what they did.
Exactly.
Right.
And a lot of us in our community do that
Yeah.
because that's the blueprint we have and it worked. And so, okay,
Right.
I'm going to do that. I'm walking that path. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere in there, I think maybe the IVF chapter, I mentioned that. And like, if you have friends who went to a certain clinic
Mhm.
and you want to go there because they did, be sure and ask ask deeper questions like, how did it feel to be
Mm.
in that clinic? Did you see images that reflected you?
Mm.
Were you misgendered? Was there anti-fat bias?
Mm.
So like ask those questions, because especially if you and your friend that you're, modeling your path after don't share the same identity,
Mhm.
or if you
Right.
have different things about you, then you might be treated different than their friend was. And all of
Totally.
that is important. We need to expect more. So after the decision making chapter, there's a chapter on fertile health for everybody. So it goes
Mm.
through fertile health of, people who are making eggs, people who are carrying pregnancies, people who are producing sperm.
And I appreciate the
Um,
language.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
includes coming off of gender affirming hormones to reclaim your fertile function in order to conceive.
Mhm.
There's a whole chapter on lab tests and fertility evaluations. So even
Wow.
if you're just seeing your family practice physician or whatever provider you have in your home community, you can, take this information and say, will you order these tests for me?
Right.
And
Or
also
please,
kind of
I don't need that one.
exactly. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
There's a whole chapter on gamete donors. So we
Mhm.
go into, donor selection, known versus unknown.
Mhm.
There's a chapter on surrogacy. And then there's a chapter on insemination methods and timing. And that chapter breaks down the methodology for identifying your ovulation within 12 hours.
Mm.
And it really just involves, you're using some of those same tools that y'all
Mhm.
mentioned earlier in our conversation. You still use the ovulation predictor kit, but you keep looking for your symptoms of high estrogen after you get that surge in luteinizing hormone, because you will continue to have symptoms of high estrogen until your egg leaves the ovary.
And can you say, what are some common estrogen symptoms?
Yeah, that's a great question. Your fertile fluid, when it's not fertile, it looks like some stage of Elmer's glue. And then
Mhm.
once you're fertile, you start to have fluid that is the quality of anything from watery to raw egg white, and that raw egg white may stretch.
Yes.
The cervix will also become soft and open, and you can feel that with your fingers. It's hard to grow eyeballs in your fingertips as midwives.
Yeah, that's something I've never been able to do.
But if you do it consistently through the fertile phase for about 2 or 3 months consecutively, because it only happens once a month, the changes are very subtle. So it usually takes people 2 or 3 months of tracking with their fingertips to understand those changes as they occur. But what makes it even easier, and here's where people kind of get surprised, you can use a speculum at home on your own with a flashlight and a mirror and look at your cervix. And from that perspective,
I don't know if I can do that myself.
It's not.
I never thought about
rocket
looking at my
science.
own.
I've never seen my. Isn't that crazy? How many of us have actually ever seen our cervix? I've never seen my cervix.
If you've seen a midwife, you probably have, because we show people all the time.
See, I've never seen a midwife.
We should know these things about our bodies. We should be empowered and central in the process and in your care.
Yes.
And it is the changes in your cervix. Your cervix will be most open at ovulation time, and then it'll start closing. It'll be most soft, and there may be a position change. So even just that opening of the cervix, you can see it with your own eyes. And a lot of people are incredulous the first time they witness this change in their body. They're like, why didn't somebody teach this to me when I was growing up? Why was this not in high school biology class? This is a basic human body function.
Okay, so take us through some more.
Okay. Yep. There's a chapter on troubleshooting and complicated conceptions. Have you identified your best timing? Have you done all the labs? Have you paid attention to your fertile health and how you're living your life and, treating your body every day? Because these things have an impact on the endocrine system and therefore on the reproductive system. I wrote a whole chapter on IVF, and the way that I organized it was I wanted to explain to people what the steps were, because I don't think that's usually explained in a way that people can really grok it. But, some people are queer and doing donor insemination or surrogacy or whatever, and do have difficulty conceiving. And so I wanted to have something for those families too. The next one is coping with cycle attempts. So it's a whole how to get through this emotionally. There's a whole lot of Brene Brown in there, and Sonia Renee Taylor.
Nice.
There's a chapter on miscarriage. I wanted to put that in its own chapter so people could go there if they need it and skip it if they don't. And then I insisted on including what's in chapter 11, even though really I wanted to make it a whole other book. I wanted to put something about pregnancy and lactation. And what that includes is the early weeks of pregnancy before you can really establish care with a care provider. What I want people to know is folks who are inducing lactation, whether you are a trans woman, it's possible you can do it. Or if you were assigned female at birth and you're not carrying the pregnancy, you can also induce lactation. And I wanted that to be in this book as well, because it's best if you start that lactation induction process 3 to 6 months before the baby arrives. So I wanted people to have this in their hands.
That's really great.
Now
to
I'm
know.
done with my list of chapters. Thank you.
No, because and we've spoken to numerous couples who have induced lactation. Like when I say numerous, I mean like a small handful. But it's something that every time it comes up, we try to glean as much info as we can from the person who did it, because like you said, it's really hard to find the information on it.
It's not for some families, it's really emotionally complex to have that lactation induction happening. And I speak to that too.
I love it. I think that you have many new fans in this podcast.
Absolutely.
Because you're speaking our language, you're speaking all of our listeners' language right now, and we really appreciate it. And we need more knowledgeable folks like you in our corner.
And we needed you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we sign off here, say the name of the book again, the author's name, as is written on the book, and where we can find you, where everybody can find you if they want to follow you or
be
a part of your life.
The name of the book is Queer Conception, The Complete Fertility Guide for Queer and Trans Parents-to-Be by Kristen L. Colley, which will, in future reprints, it'll be Kristen Liam Colley is probably what I'll put on there. And I am based in Seattle, Washington, but I do telehealth. So you can find my practice at www.mayamidwifery.com, and that's MAIA, and midwifery is spelled MIDWIFERY. And so what this means is you can go to my website. I can be your midwife no matter where you live. I can do everything but the IUI procedure. In terms of families who are conceiving via insemination, I can order labs anywhere in the US. I can meet with you, give you, guidance and do your clinical preconception care. And then I also run a pregnancy program specifically for queer and trans families. There's a parallel program for solo parent families where you're able to get your education, whether it's childbirth education, lactation education, pregnancy information, while at the same time having live I've been facilitating groups for 25 years. So I facilitate the groups. I'm also training others to do what I do. So you show up at a group with a bunch of other families like yours on Zoom. We are having these robust conversations. I mean, the way you hear me talking, like this is how we do in our groups. And that goes all the way like monthly in the first part of your pregnancy. And then it's every other week. And then your baby arrives. We share birth stories. And then there's a weekly new parents group that meets. So everybody's like showing up at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, pumping or nursing or bottle feeding and hopping up to change a diaper, and nobody slept last night and half the people's hair is all disheveled, including mine. And not really. I'm too big
I know.
for
I was
that.
about to say no. I bet
you
yours
can see
wasn't.
me. My hair's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure it is. But I may or may not have on sweatpants. So anyway, all that to say, this is, maybe this is why I was raised in the Baptist church. Like I'm proselytizing this stuff. Like I want people to hear the good news. Come to the
and
light.
we're going to do everything we can to make sure they hear the good news.
Oh my God. This has been really wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having
on.
me. I've really enjoyed my time with the two of you, and I'd be happy to come back. Let's talk more.
You're coming
totally
back.
coming back.
You're
Okay.
coming back. Oh, Liam.
Liam's so amazing.
So much information, right? Like just a well of knowledge.
Yes. And in perfect time for some folks, house and never. I wish I knew about Liam 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, E, you were like a kid in a candy shop talking to E about the transition.
Facts.
And that was really wonderful to just witness your two's conversation and how excited you were to talk to somebody who's been through it and
who's on T.
And it was really wonderful
Yeah, it is
to
exciting.
watch that conversation and just see your excitement and see Liam feel, like, oh, this is good, I can help. And it was just a nice moment. And that's why this podcast exists, so that people can be mirrored, see themselves mirrored in these stories. So I'm just going to cry.
Oh, don't cry. But I got to tell you, the feeling of connecting with another trans person and asking questions, because we're all at different points of our journey. And, I had to be told that, yes, I'm part of the trans community, because I didn't know that non-binary was part of the trans community. I didn't know.
Yeah. Everybody needs to go out and get that book. You can check these show notes for this show here for a link, or you just go straight to Liam's website, mayamidwifery.com. That's MAIA, midwifery.com. Get the book. We need to support all of us, this queer community, because we're doing good stuff in the world. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I just turned into Liza Minnelli.
I liked it.
All right. Well, if y'all want to help us make this content for LGBTQ families, you can join our Patreon community, and you can do just that. You're going to do a good thing, and you're going to get bonus content. And at the gestational carrier level, You'll get video interviews of most episodes, which are what? Dropped
Drop the
Day
day early.
early.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yes, so go ahead and
boom.
head to our patreon.com/ovariestalk to join.
That's right. And don't forget, Jay and Robin wrote a book, right? Y'all know about the book. It's a really great book. The book is called If These Ovaries Could Talk, The Things We've Learned About Making an LGBTQ Family. And it's available at all major retailers, and you should buy it. So if you want to buy it locally, go to IndieBound. Get the audiobook if you want Robin and Jay to read it to you at night. That's available on Amazon, iTunes. If you get it, don't be afraid to review it on Amazon or Goodreads. Actually, do that. Review it on Amazon or Goodreads.
Yes,
okay?
yes. We also have all kinds of merch, and Pride is the perfect time to get it. So many designs, and you can put those designs on any product in the store. T-shirts, mugs, notebooks, face masks, laptop cases. You're just going to go to a link in bio on our Instagram page, and you can get straight to the store, or go to tpublic.com and type in ovaries, If These Ovaries Could Talk, and we'll be there. We'll be there.
Boom. Also, social media.
Don't forget to get your tickets to our live event. It's happening June 23rd at NYC Pride's The Conference. This is NYC Pride's annual symposium of transformative change makers in the queer community, and we are one of the very special guests. And our listeners get a special discount code to attend the conference and our live taping, of course. Write it down. It's OCT15 for 15% off all conference tickets. Go do that. You got to do that. It's really cool.
Do it now.
And we just have to say thank you to our sponsor,
Thank you.
Zoller. And a huge
Yes.
thank you to all you Patreons who are helping us make this show. We really do thank you. And we apologize for rambling so much, but we just get excited when we're talking. Okay.
Should I say it? We say it together. 1, 2, 3.
Eggs,
Fried eggs,
ovaries
out.
If these ovaries could talk, they would say, eggs, ovaries,